All right.
The
lighting in here is weird. We're all really dark.
Yeah, it is dark.
All right.
You're good.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, June 13th, and it is 4:01. This is the Communications Committee meeting. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Second item on the agenda is roll call. And I believe today it's myself and Councillor Seither. Councillor Johnson couldn't be here today. And then I see Liam and Allison in the room. Is there anyone else in the room? All right. Next item, if you guys bear with me when my dogs bark in the background, if you can hear them, is approval of the May minutes. Can I get a motion? Was that a motion? I'll second. And all those in favor, raise your hand. All right.
You're on.
John, you're on mute.
Yep. Sorry, my dogs are, I think the mailman just came by. Next item on the agenda is Councillor Corner Live prep alignment. So we have our next Councillor Corner Live on Thursday at 6:30. So I just figured, you know, Councillor Seither and I, if we have any questions, or Liam, if you have any questions that we can align before the meeting this Thursday.
I will say that it's at the Public Safety Building, not at Chambers, which I said at the meeting on Wednesday. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows it's at the Public Safety Building. And then in terms of questions, I have confirmed with Jamie that, you know, she's planning on being there. So she's obviously a huge resource to us. I don't know what necessarily the conversation will be. Liam and I were just saying, you know, we got that email from the resident with the pictures of the beach erosion. And so I'm sure that there will be concerned residents that is obviously pressing for them, that gets in front of the council. But when Jamie did the application for that grant and she had to have a hearing, the topics that people brought really were all over the map in terms of what people, you know, cared about. And so I think it could be really interesting. I think we'll hear a lot of things that we as counselors, unless we live in those neighborhoods or in those areas, like have no idea is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty diverse set of topics. The one thing I think we want to, this might be a starting thing. Like my assumption, April, is that, you know, maybe this time around, you may be the one to kick things off just to kind of get us started. And I think the only thing we may want to iterate differently in case people come prepared, which I'm comfortable with if you're comfortable based on our lessons learned conversation, was, you know, let's not use this as a time for people to talk 10 minutes or provide a lot of detail. Like, these are intended to be conversations. So if they really have a statement or something that they want to share, that they email it. Otherwise, you know, let's try and keep this conversational. And I know that one resident has pictures, like when they want to speak, if they want us to flash them up, just to show kind of a little bit what their concern is. I think that's fine, as long as we just kind of keep the time limited so that we can really have that conversation. But again, they can always, they actually gave me a packet of information that I haven't read through yet that might be something that they send to us later to be able to kind of digest a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm happy to facilitate that part too and set those expectations at the beginning. Sure.
Okay. But other than that, I mean, I feel like it's the same concept, right? We're just opening it up and seeing where the conversation goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any sense of attendance? And
I really
from
don't.
residents?
I mean, I don't know whether people are just being nice because I'm the liaison to all these committees. But you know, I suspect that members of the Sustainability Committee and the Conservation Commission will both attempt to be there. And then I know Scarborough Land Trust was excited that this was the topic. So I expect if Sue can be there, she'll try and be there. So And then, like I said, that last session that Jamie ran drew so many different residents.
Mhm.
No idea.
And all she did was, when she posted for it, did she just go in the leader? And that was the only thing she did?
I think that there was
It
a
was on social media.
social media push.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think hopefully we'll get a good showing. And again, even if it's just the committee members, just being outside of committee and having a different conversation might be interesting to see where the conversation goes.
I'm hoping that committee members will facilitate conversation with the residents too, because you and I don't pretend to be experts on any of these topics.
Mhm.
So, if they really get into the weeds on some of these things, I mean, you and I are just there to listen.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. This is not like, that's the one thing about these committees that are pretty awesome. Like they're pretty big experts in their area and can really kind of explain things. So I'm glad that they're going to be there in case we get some tough questions, or they can, explain things better than probably we could. So I think that's great.
Yeah, in terms of alignment, something you just said made me think of this. And I'm gonna try and set the table for this at the joint meeting between conservation and sustainability that's happening tonight at 6. Just not get too heavy into talking about the Downs GMO exemption and how that, what they offered as their exemption request, necessarily can be manipulated at this point. I don't necessarily know that we want to get into a whole thing. I know that some of the people from the Downs had heard that tonight's meeting was happening and then Thursday night's meeting was happening and thought maybe we were being a little heavy-handed with talking about the GMO.
I feel like one thing we could do, and again, I don't know who on the town side would be helpful to have there. Probably somebody in planning who at least just has an understanding, not from the GMO perspective, but from a zoning and other policies, how does the environment factor into it? Because I remember when we were at the growth one, I think it was actually the Scarborough Land Trust who brought up, well, there's other ways you can do things in zoning and things and impact fees or whatever that could help consider more environmental sustainable things than maybe we do today. But again, I don't know if there's somebody from planning who has a good baseline of that stuff who could join the call or something, just to kind of be knowledgeable of what are all of our ordinances and policies that are tied into the environment. Like Angela might be a good one, because I know she knows a lot about transportation.
I can ask Jamie tonight when I see her at 6.
Yeah, Jamie, she might
see what the buzz is in the planning department, if any of them are planning on being available.
I think, John, I like that idea about reporting back out and providing some additional education. I mean, I feel like the value of Counselor Corner, though, is just to bridge that gap between counselors and the public. And so I think I think my concern would be that this isn't intended to be an educational piece from staff to the public with some facilitation from counselors. I think it's intended to just hear from them. And then I think from there, then you go back and we solicit staff to say, these are questions that really came up. Can we do some education pieces on how we're zoning, what the relationship is between zoning and our sustainability efforts or conservation efforts and things like that. So I think that'd be a great way. And I really think that, I guess I'm going back and trying to think about Let's Talk Growth or your Let's Talk Growth segment. And I think it's probably this one, probably more than that almost, is an opportunity to do some educational outreach from some of these questions that people have that they just seem to be lacking some information on. I think that's a takeaway.
Yeah, I agree. I think this topic I'm less comfortable on in terms of myself fully understanding all of the details. And so I think that's a good point. I think it's really to learn and hear and get a sense of what the concerns are, and then go back, do some research and, create a piece around this. This might actually lead into the next, or one of our topics today, which is around the topics for the next Counselor Corner normal emails that we do, where again, depending on, I think Counselor Johnson is going to be doing his one next on 5 facts, or he has like this fact approach. So he's doing the one for the 15th. And then maybe what I can do, since I'll be attending tomorrow, is keep track of maybe like the top questions that we get that we can't answer. And then in my counselor corner that I could do at the end of the month or for the 1st of July, it can be focused on this topic in terms of like what we learned and what we shared. And if there's other places on the website we could point people to that might even have some of this stuff, you know, we could use that as the launch pad for any communications or education we want to do.
I think that's the plan. That's the best we can do.
Yeah.
You know, we're not experts.
Yep.
Or pretend to be, so.
And I think there's a real value to letting this not go in with a real plan.
Yeah.
Not going kind of armed with answers to all their questions and just letting it kind of free flow.
Well, that's the thing. I was way more nervous for the last one because you're more versed in that topic than I am. So I think we flip-flop, but now
Yeah.
that was an easy conversation. And so hopefully we get some engaged people who really genuinely want to just bring us their concerns that they think maybe we don't know, and they will feel listened to and heard, which is I know that's our shared objective. And, you know, that's the meaning of these.
Yep.
And this is
Good point.
a far more, I think, nebulous topic.
Yeah.
You know, conservation and sustainability. If you get anywhere from recycling programs to land conservation to
Yeah.
sea level, you know, whatever, you know, it could be all over the map. So I think
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Well, all right. So any other thing on this topic before we jump to the next item? All right, so next is the survey on citizen communication and engagement preferences. So just as a reminder, I think when we met last time, when we were selecting this topic, we had talked a little bit about maybe having a counselor corner live in the future on, you know, how people like to engage in the decision-making process with the town council, which we thought before we do that, maybe we do some sort of surveying to better understand what those preferences are. And so I think Allison took a stab at drafting something that could be how we go out to the public and just try and get some feedback on communication preferences.
This draft was very much like, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this about each of the engagement opportunities? But it wasn't as much about like, did that work for you? Did you understand the process? So it didn't go beyond as much of the awareness to the effectiveness of it. So I just wanted to have a conversation about how we could narrow it down so it's not like asking so many questions, but getting at what we want, what you as counselors want to know for engagement. And then the other piece was what opportunities are there for improved engagement? Could any of these be done better? Or is there something else that wasn't thought of? And this is meant to be an online survey, 5 to 10 minutes, something that we can put out through social media and the newsletter, have up for a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and just see what the responses are online.
Councilor Scyther, did you have any thoughts on the survey or the approach?
I mean, if we wanted to get to the effectiveness, we could ask, you know, we could give a 4th option under those first couple of questions, which says something along the lines of, you know, have you attended a Scarborough public meeting? It could say no, but then we could also have, you know, no, or I would be interested, but I was unsure how to find the meeting. Or like on the next one, you know, have you given public comment? I'm interested in giving public comment, but I'm unsure how to do that. Or obviously that wording is not very solid, but.
Liam, if you're trying to show the survey, I think right now we're just seeing your Zoom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's try this. How about this?
Yep, there we go.
It did say pause for a minute,
Yeah.
but then it went green again. I don't know why.
Okay, so like after, I guess another option hearing you would be that after each response that maybe like a conditional response comes up or a conditional question comes up, depending on what answer they select, that gets more out like why or why not
Can we do that?
type of
Maybe
thing.
drop one?
Yeah.
So if they say, have you attended a Scarborough Valley meeting, you say yes, then you could say like, did you find it
Yes, exactly.
helpful? How satisfied were you?
Yeah.
with,
So if they select yes, then we can ask
Yeah.
follow-up questions.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's like what I would like to understand from this at the end is like which mechanisms do they find to be effective and why, right? And they may find some of them not to be effective because they have an expectation, right, that there's more back and forth or something. Or again, like I know a lot of people send emails, and I think some counselors have said, their preference when it comes to responding to things, that it is like an example was if it comes out to the entire council, that they may not respond. They read it, but they might not respond. But people may want recognition that somebody read it, and maybe not all the time do we ever respond and say, hey, thanks for sending your email, period. And like just knowing people actually read it and getting a response, I think is important to people. And it would be interesting to see, like for email, if they interact with us with the email, are they satisfied with that? Or because some people may just want to send it and just send it to us and just say, this is my feedback, and they don't care if they hear back. But I'm just curious how many people actually expect a response back.
I would definitely like to know the expectation. I don't even know if we have an agreed upon set of expectations on the council even.
Mhm.
That I would
Yeah.
be very, people are probably very dissatisfied with my email habits.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't respond to everything, but occasionally when I read something, I might just like respond and say thank you, just to like say thank you. And I know some people are like, don't say thank you. That's like not helpful. But I mean, I want them to know I read it is really my point.
And you make a good point. I always read them. I read everything we get. But if another counselor or John in particular has responded as chair, I definitely do not respond.
Yeah.
Mhm. That resident has been satisfied by that experience. I should not assume that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too. Like, do they expect, like when they're sending us emails, again, we're talking mostly about emails right now, but like when they send us emails, are they expecting an individual response from each counselor? Like I can speak for myself. When I was a resident, I would email, or my first experience emailing, I remember I got separate responses from 3 or 4 different counselors, which I was like shocked that I got responses because it was like my first email to public officials and I didn't know what to expect, but all of them like got back to me within like a couple of hours, which I was like, what? I didn't expect that, but I appreciated it, right? Even if I didn't like what they had to say, I liked that at least they acknowledged my email. So, I think that type of thing would be interesting. And same thing for public comment. Like, do they feel satisfied giving public comment?
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. We know we have people who come to make public comment who have never been to a meeting before. And Councillor Clucci does a great job allowing public to participate in not necessarily the most conventional, like rigid set of rules, because he can appreciate that people don't know how to do this, or they've never spoken at a meeting before. But I would be willing to bet that there are people who would like to make public comment who are intimidated by the process and therefore don't put themselves out there to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like we should maybe develop some conditional questions.
Yeah, I guess my concern is, though, there's already a lot of questions on here, like how long can we get? And then also like, are those conditional questions effective? Like if we're asking, in the past year, have you attended a Scarborough public meeting? And then we're asking a conditional, like if they say yes, like how satisfied were you? It's like, we don't know why they were there, And then about like, were you expecting a response? Like even if they said like, yes, I was expecting a response, or no, I wasn't, like it still doesn't really get at like, is that effective or not? So I just want to, I don't know. I guess I just want to I might have to just like reconsider the structure of it too. But ultimately, we're trying to figure out the effectiveness rather than the amount of times
Yes.
someone does a certain.
Yeah.
It's not like we're saying, oh, more people send emails than do public comments.
We
It's
already
more
know
about
that.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it could be like as simple as like listing like of the following engagement mechanisms, which ones have you engaged with in the past year with the council, and we can give the different options. And then we could say, based on your experience, how satisfied are you with the engagement? And then we could just say why, or please provide insight into why you answered the way you did, which might just be enough for us directionally to get feedback. And then the last one could just be, what other engagement mechanisms would you like to see that we're not doing today? And some of that might actually be things that we are doing, we just haven't maybe,
People don't know, or-
yeah, either they don't know and we can educate. So I think if we can keep it kind of like maybe to something like that, we're getting at kind of the intent, which is like, how are they satisfied with how they're being engaged? And if not, what are other options? Or if they are, why? So that we can learn from that and know what they like, so we can try and do a little bit more.
Okay, so it could almost like be in a matrix where it lists all of the engagement opportunities and then their satisfaction level from dissatisfied to satisfied.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Mhm.
So it's all like in one
Sure.
question. Okay,
Is that helpful, Allison?
yeah. So I'll work on getting that revised so it gets more what we're trying to have the outcome be, and then I'll send it out, but we can aim to have that this summer.
Okay, I think that would be good. And I think like, again, I could use my July 1st counselor corner to talk about the sustainability stuff that we learn that we might want to share information on. But then I can also, if we're ready in time, I could use that to also allude to the survey that we're trying to get more feedback on better ways to communicate that could inform a future counselor corner live topic or something.
Yep, there you go.
Item
Great.
6 done. So I think, so just for item 6 on the counselor corner, so Ken is doing one. I know he went back and forth with you, Allison, on his topic. I don't know if he sent one in yet or not. I haven't seen it. So hopefully that will be coming in. And then I'll do the one on the 1st, like we talked about. And then for the 15th, I want to reserve that one, I'm assuming, based on the current schedule, I understand, for the GMO, in case John or somebody may want to do something on that. So I feel like we're pretty good between now and July for writers and speakers.
Something we've done in the past is an introduction of the new counselor. I don't know
Oh, yeah.
if you want to do a space for that, or it can just be a separate section.
Yeah, so I think if doing one on the GMO is relevant, then we give that. I would be more in favor of giving that space to Counselor Cucci, because I just feel like people are really going to be, interest level is going to be really high.
Mhm.
And then sliding the introduction of the new counselor into the next one. But if the GMO discussion isn't there yet, then that to me feels like an easy swap.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I think it would be good to let them come in and get their feet wet a little bit, right? And I think assuming they're on for like a month at least, that could work for the 15th or the 1st, or even like, I don't know, Allison, if we're flexible enough in the, it depends on the person and their comfort, but like, actually the 15th would be too soon because we won't know who's elected until tomorrow, and we won't have authorized the results until the following week, I think, right? Or are we're authorizing them this week?
We certify the election on Wednesday, but then they don't get sworn in until the following meeting.
Which I'm assuming is going to be,
July, whatever.
okay, July 20th.
Is it the 20th?
4th of the month.
Tody may swear, because of the summer schedule, Tody may opt to swear the counselors in outside of the meeting. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how about whoever, once somebody's elected, I'll reach out and see what they want to do. Because I think it would still be good in the earliest one to at least let them have their bio and do an introduction or something if they're interested, or something else, but we can play that by ear. Cool. All right, next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody participating? Nope.
There's not.
All right, next item is future agenda items. I think our next meeting would be on July 12th. Depending on, it might be worth, and I'll align with you, Counselor Scyther and Counselor Johnson afterwards. I think I'm going to be on vacation that week, so that might not work for me. So maybe we can decide if we need something in July or if we cancel July.
Sure.
All right. And then the last item on the agenda is adjournment.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?